Audience. I'm David Potter with the South Bay Association Global Committee. I'm currently the chairperson. And with us, we have other members of the Global Committee that I want to thank for all their help. We have Ben Larson, who's the co-chair, Sabina Birkenfeld, Melissa Okabe, Lillian Wang, and Susan Carr. And I think Beate Hermsey is going to join us soon. Today, we're going to be talking about marketing your listing globally and in the changing market, which is code word for COVID. And I wanted to introduce our three guest speakers. To start off with, we're fortunate to have Matthias Susel. He's from the San Diego Association of Realtors. Matthias is the chairperson of the International Real Estate Committee. We also have Robert Miller, who's a mortgage broker, author, and Latin American expert. And with us is Spencer Hu, the California Association of Realtors Global Committee chairperson. He works with Remax Omega and the Asian Real Estate, and he's an Asian real estate consultant. We're going to start off by allowing the three panelists to introduce themselves and talk about themselves for a few minutes and let us know how they ended up pursuing this very exciting career in real estate. Thank you. Let's start off with Matthias.
Okay, hello everyone. Again, my name is Matthias Susel. As you can see from here, from my a little bit of a thick accent, I'm not from the U.S. I was born in Argentina. I've been in San Diego, California for the past 20 years. I started in real estate in 2002, working in Mexico, then Costa Rica, the U.S. I'm a licensed realtor in the state of California and the state of Florida. And as David was telling you guys, I'm the chair of the 2020 International Real Estate Committee at SDAR, the San Diego Association of Realtors, that has more than 14,000 members. And I'm very happy to lead the international committee. And I'm super glad to be here to tell you a little bit how you can market your listings internationally, how to make connections with realtors around the world. Also, I've been involved with a company that is called Proxio, that is one of the member services or the other services that you receive through CRMLS. So I want you guys to know a little bit more that and how to use that platform so that you can expand your reach with realtors and how you, and your listings around the world. So we're going to talk about all this during this conversation. I'm so glad to be with Spencer, Nikki, Robert, and David. And so thank you very much for having me.
Okay, Spencer, would you like to go?
Yeah, no problem. So I'm Spencer Hu. As David mentioned, I am the current chair for California Association of Realtors Global Real Estate Forum. And what that is it's 3 times per year during the legislative meetings. It is open meeting for any CAR members to attend. David has been a great representative for South Bay Association, attending all the meetings, and Robert actually has been one of our speakers in the past. So it is a small family. We'll get into that later on with the chat. I am also the immediate past chair for Orange County Realtors Global Business Alliance. And we actually got the Committee of the Year award from the association last year, which was kind of cool. So just a brief intro.
All right, Robert.
Okay, just briefly, 53 years in finance, 50 of it in Latin America. I have a love affair that I've had since I was very young. Since I was 5 years old, I was in Argentina, Colombia, Chile. So I'm very passionate about Latin America, very passionate, and a little later I'll share why, but tremendous opportunities. I'm a licensed real estate broker here in California. I've been licensed since '84. Spencer's heard this before. I've never sold a house. So I'm always been on the commercial side, but I'm very passionate about global, and it's obviously a very challenging time for global. One of the questions, and I'll jump to it so you don't have to ask me, David. One of the questions was where I got all my expertise in global, or how I've been involved in. I was talking to Spencer last night. The short answer is I've been hanging around with Spencer Hu for the last couple of years. So He's a great resource, and as Matthias knows, the three of us have been together personally. So I'm very honored and very privileged. I grew up in South Bay, so I'm very looking forward to all of your questions, and hopefully we can help you get involved, more involved in global transactions.
Excellent. So as Matthias mentioned, as a CRM MLS member, we have access to Proxio. So I want to start off with Matthias. Tell us how the internet has changed the way Proxio does business, i.e. in relation to Trulia, Zillow, Realtor.com, and other real estate websites.
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, I think that what all your members need to know is that Proxio is a technology company, right? That we have different, basically what they do is they have different platforms that allow agents to connect within each other, right? So one of the platforms that all of you guys have access is called Proxio Pro, and the other one is called Proxio Showcase, right? What Proxio Pro allow agents to do is to connect agents. It's a B2B platform, right? It's an agent-to-agent platform. Just think about like a LinkedIn, only for real estate professionals that is attached to a global MLS of 2.5 million active listings. So when you upload a listing into your MLS, basically that MLS basically syndicated to Proxio, and once in the network of Proxio, all the listings basically get seen by anyone of 150 countries that want to see a property in that particular market, right? So in terms of how it's been changed, the way that we do business, it has changed or not, because basically, as I was telling you, Trulia, Zillow, and Realtor.com is mostly a B2C platform. So that means that it's a platform from agents to the end consumer, right? What Proxio is, it's a business-to-business platform where you have agents to agents, right? Now, if you the other platform that Proxio provides to all the agents is called Proxio Showcase. That is a B2C platform, because what it gives each of you guys, each of your members, and the members of the Orange County Association of Realtors and the members of the San Diego Association of Realtors, right? A front portal, right? Where they can basically create a collection of properties and connect with property developers and with listing agents around the world, and they can showcase that to their clients. So I think that it's great what Zillow and Trulia and Realtor.com are doing, because what they do is they give more exposure to all the listings of us, of all the agents, right? And what Proxio does, on the other hand, is basically connects agents to agents to give agents the opportunity to have more business and to have more opportunity to expand their business. Okay, so that's kind of in a nutshell how it changed. Proxio has been since 2002, and of course, Trulia, Zillow, Realtor.com has been growing tremendously since then. But I think it's all good. It's not something that competes with one another. The only thing that it does is supplement each other, and it gives the opportunity to agents to have more exposure to their brand, to their agents, and of course their listings.
Excellent. Spencer, you just want to chime in real quickly? I know you're the young guy on the call. How has the internet changed the way you do business?
Definitely. So with the internet, it gives us access to everywhere across the world without physically being there. So with products like Proxio, that's networking you to all the other agents in other countries across the US as well. With the other platforms that you can place your listings, so besides Proxio, of course, which is agent to agent, you have the consumer-facing website. So you mentioned Realtor.com. Realtor.com has a Realtor.com/international, which is for their international listings. That I believe, I have not used it myself in the past. I believe it is a small paid feature, so you need to be a paid member of that feature set. But that gives you access to consumers that are using something that is like Realtor.com International. You have other paid portals such as World Property Journal. They have their own set. List globally. You have very specific ones for certain countries like Zhuwai, which is in China. But definitely this gets you out in front of the audience, which is the buyer, which is who you want to connect with. So it's definitely a good thing these last several years. The new kind of industry that we see now is called PropTech. So a lot of real estate technology, which Proxio is one of those companies, and a lot of these other companies are.
Yeah, and if I can add a little bit to that, David, in terms of syndication, what Spencer is talking, I think the good thing about when that you all of your members have without even knowing sometimes, right, is that when they upload a property to Proxio, that property is also basically syndicated to worldproperties.com, is syndicated to other portals, right, and to also the global network of properties of Proxio. Now, in some Latin American countries, that for instance Costa Rica, Proxio, it is the MLS for those countries. And what we do for some of those countries is we syndicate their listings to Realtor.com. So in terms of what Spencer was talking about, Realtor.com/international, if the different country has a relationship with the NAR, with Realtor.com, what they do is they can send all their listings. In that case, Proxio is a syndication partner with Realtor.com. So there's a lot of MLSs that we do send the information of the agents into that page. I don't know, in the US, I don't know if, like Spencer said, there is a paid program for real estate agents in the US, but around the world, if the association has a relationship with Realtor.com and NAR, then they can send the listings to Realtor.com, which is incredible, you know, because they give the opportunity to agents around the world, again, to syndicate their listings and to have more exposure. So that's fantastic.
I can clarify a little bit. So here in California, and it is, again, that's something that's through CRMLS, the Realtor.com International, I believe, is a checkbox in the List Hub settings, which is the syndication settings. And that's where they would pay. So I'm not sure because I'm not a broker, but anyone that's on the calls that is a broker owner or broker manager that has access to the List Hub settings for your office or the company you're with, that's where the settings will be. I believe Juwai was part of that offering at one point, which is cheaper than doing your individual membership through Juwai. So, and that changes every month. So a lot of different options that are both local for the portals here in the US, as well as the global portals.
Excellent. So while we're on the subject, are there any differences to consider between national and international real estate transactions? Spencer, we'll start with you.
Okay, yeah, no problem. So with international real estate transactions, and I guess I'll get into it here, international and global, two different words everyone uses interchangeably, should not be used interchangeably. International is basically one country to another country. So if you're working with a US client buying in Mexico, that's the international transaction. If you're working with a US client looking at multiple countries, that's now a global client because it's multiple countries. So you always want to try to use the word global since it encompasses a lot more. Anyways, as far as global real estate transactions, it is twofold. You have inbound, which is what most of us agents here in the US are used to, which you have clients coming in from other countries buying here in the US, whether it's residential, whether it's commercial, whether it's very large projects, institutional level. That's all inbound. And then you have the second part of it, which is outbound. So US residents purchasing outside of the US, which Latin America is the strong predominant location. Mexico, Central America, Caribbean, those are all very strong locations. So as far as them purchasing here into the US, you definitely need to be aware that it is a very new thing for a lot of them. Yes, a lot of them might have researched the process online. They might have friends that have purchased before, but you need to kind of handhold and walk them along the process because it is a lot different here in the US than it is in other countries. Other countries, predominantly non-North American countries, they don't have a concept of MLS. So without that MLS, they don't have the concept of broker cooperation either. And therefore, agency is usually what we call open agency. So most clients are used to the fact that they can have 2 agents, 5 agents, 100 agents working for them. They don't have any sense of loyalty. So that's one of the first things that we have to kind of pound into the heads, to say lightly, that we are here in the US, we're licensed, we're bound to give you our fiduciary duty to help you reach your goal, whether that's to buy a home, sell a home, invest in a home. And in order to do that, we need you to respect us as well as far as your loyalty. And usually they get that by that point because they say, yes, it is US, I want to buy in the US, I'm going to follow the US rules. And on the opposite side, if you're buying in another country, same thing. You need to follow the rules, whatever that country is, because it is going to be a very different type of setting as well.
So Matthias, speaking from the Proxio point of view, what can you tell us about the national versus the international?
In which aspect are you referring, David?
The difference to consider between marketing them, you know.
Well, so as Spencer was saying, in terms of transaction-wise, there is a difference in each country, right? Like Spencer was saying, even if it's inbound, what you need to do is to have a lot of communication and a lot of education to the client that is purchasing in the U.S. For sure, they are not going to know about what is an escrow company. They're not going to know what a title company. They're not going to know, again, what an MLS is, right? So I think that what is important for an agent that is trying to bring business from different countries to the U.S. is to really educate not only the end consumer, the buyer, but also the realtors that they are working over there, right? It's very important that they communicate, they tell absolutely, they explain the process, how it is, and that they tell the buyer and the realtor in the other country that they're basically going to hold their hand and take them through the whole process. Once that everyone understands the process, I think that you have a client for life, right? What people need to understand in terms of transaction and the opportunity that U.S. has right now with the world is that and probably Robert can attest to this and to tell us way more about that, but the different currencies are losing on the currency exchange with the dollar, right? So each second that people in Latin America, let's say, or around the world have their savings into their currency, they lose value, right? So what they are looking, and because in a lot of countries, there's not a big trust in terms of the banking system, they are looking for other ways to invest their money. So the US is a place where they always consider. One of the problems is that because they don't have the education in terms of the transaction, and they don't know exactly how it works. So if an agent goes with a lot of education and talks to the buyer and talks to the agent, I think that and educate them in terms of transaction, I think that there's a lot of opportunity to make a big business over here. If the NAR does a profile of international buyer in the US, and last year, if we talk about our neighbor country, that let's say Mexico, right, the Latin American country, they purchased $2.3 billion in the US, right? It could be way more if they were more educated in terms of how everything works here. And also, of course, with the certainty that they're going to get paid, right? If they send the client, if you explain how it's like an agreement, right, where you're going to pay a referral fee and all that kind of stuff and all those details, I think that you can create clients for life because there's always an interest from Latin America to the US. Now, on the other hand, from the US outbound to the world, there's a lot of people. The same profile of international buyers that NAR did last year, from all the realtors that they surveyed, 7% said that they had clients that they wanted to purchase a property outside the US. That property could be a second residence, or it could be because they wanted to retire, right? Now we know about all these baby boomers that they're trying to retire outside the US. Unfortunately, only 3% of that 7% that answered that they had clients could serve their clients and connect them with a agent or a property overseas or outside the US. So now it's an opportunity, because of everything that is happening, is to use all the platforms that you have, use all the tools that you have, use all the education that we have, right? And try to go and reach out to different realtors around the world, tell them about that there's a lot of Americans also that they're buying, creating the relationship where we can have inventory from let's say Mexico, that is the top country where people retire, Costa Rica, Ecuador, Canada, the UK, right? There's Portugal. There's a lot of different countries where Americans are looking to purchase a property, and we need to do the same. We need to learn exactly how the system works over there so that we can give certainty to our buyers, our clients, and connect them with realtors in those areas. There's there's a very good certification that I encourage all the agents to have. That is the CIPS. CIPS, the Certified International Property Specialist, is by the NAR. And everywhere in the world, right, all the different realtors in the world, they understand that. So when they see that Spencer Hu is a certified international property specialist, they want to work with them. They give them certainty that Spencer know how to work in different countries. At the same time, there's a lot of CIPS agents around the world. So when we look that when we want to send our clients to Mexico, to Latin America, to another country, it is great if we can look for CIPS agents in those countries, because they will understand a little bit more of the system. But again, it's all about education, and there's a big opportunity to grow our businesses with inbound and also outbound. But it's all about education, I believe.
Excellent. That leads us to the next question. And Robert, I'm going to have you chime in on this. What are the target properties for international markets? And if you can, talk a little bit about minimum price range, amenities people want, luxury versus commercial or residential income properties.
Okay, so you're talking about international, you're talking about, for me, Latin America?
Yes.
Properties, outbound from the United States, properties in Latin America.
Yes.
Okay, let me step back just one thing and comment on what Matias said. I counted, he used the word relationship 8 times. I've been involved 50 years in Latin American finance. It hasn't changed any, and especially in Latin America, and principally in Chile, Colombia, Argentina, Mexico, Panama. It's all about relationships. And all these platforms, technology is great. It makes things easier for us. But you're exactly right, Matias, and Spencer and I talk about this. As a matter of fact, a large portion of our book that's coming out in June on global real estate is talking about the value of the relationships, because what happens is that we're now going back as a nation even away from transactional business to relationship business. And I'm going to use an example that was on one of Spencer's calls, and Spencer, jump in and correct me. But one of the Zooms that you had a couple weeks ago, one of our colleagues was talking about either Belize or Panama. Remember, he was using the example about a property down there that didn't have hot water in 2 of the bedrooms. Mm-hmm. What was that, Spencer? Tell us about that.
So he's talking about one of our developer speakers we had for Orange County Realtors for their global forum. This was several weeks ago. And basically saying what I was going back to, when you're helping buyers buy outside of the US, you need to walk them through that everything is going to be different than the US. Their building standards are different. Their building materials are different. And the example that the developer gave is, you can walk into a $1 million home, but the building standards are different. The master bedroom, the bathroom sink had 2 water lines, one going to the hot, one going to the cold. But if you went to the secondary bedrooms or the kitchen, you basically had a Y outlet coming out of the wall, which is cold water, and both the hot and cold that's going to the sink is basically both cold water. So certain things like that, you need to explain to your buyer, saying, yes, it's an exciting opportunity to be looking outside of the US, but at the same time, you need to understand that it is different standards and different process.
So David, I'm going to address, go ahead.
I think this is it. Just real quickly, while we're on that subject, Spencer, and you're talking about what local buyers are looking for overseas. In your experience, what are the overseas investors looking for? What type of properties? How do they hear about them? How do they learn about them? These properties in the United States that are listed for sale. We know Proxio works, but what are other ways you can talk about?
Mm-hmm. So as far as the purchase wants, they're not necessarily needs. And my group has worked extensively with Chinese buyers and Asian buyers, so it might be different for other regions. But for the Asian buyers, normally they, of course, want to find something that they think is a good deal. That's just something built into kind of our blood. So it's not going to be something that's going to be overpriced. It needs to be market price or less than market price. And of course, like I said, they're going to probably have done a lot of research online or talking with their friends and colleagues before they even start saying, I'm going to buy something outside of my home country. Number two, very, very big for Asian buyers is school district. And by school district, it doesn't necessarily mean the public school district. It could be the private schools that are nearby, could be the university system. And part of that is a lot of the buyers, when they buy here in the US, they have a small thought in the back of their head, if it's not right away, that they might want to use the property themselves at some point. So maybe when their children are older, middle school age, high school age, they might want to come over and try out the US lifestyle. And in that case, their children need to go to school. So it needs to be a good school district. Something very big for Chinese and Asian buyers also, they want to have the Asian amenities. So the Chinese supermarkets, Japanese supermarkets, Korean supermarkets, all those restaurants for the Asian food. They want something that kind of has that closeness and familiarity, even though a lot of them have kind of walked away slowly from that kind of thought. And by that, my office is located in city of Irvine, which we know is very high Asian purchase rate. A lot of our buyers within the last several years, they specifically said, I don't want to be in Irvine. So they want to be close enough where they can drive to the amenities in Irvine, but they don't want to live in Irvine because they're feeling they're moving out of Asia into Asia, but with basically detached homes and large yards, which you usually can't have in Asia. So that's something, hospitals is something usually, direct flights from Asia, closeness to the mass transit if you're in, let's say, downtown LA or New York, San Francisco, mass transit to freeways if you're in other areas, but not right next to a freeway, of course. So there's a lot of recurring wants, and that's trying to figure out what kind of that global list is for that set of buyers that you're working with.
Excellent.
And if I can chime a little bit on that question, David,
Sure.
I think that it all depends, right? Because it all depends who's buying, right? You have some people that are buying because they want to invest. The people that want to invest, they just want return on investment. They don't kind of care where they buy. They just want to make a good deal, right? It could be anywhere in the U.S., right? It could be, I don't know, in Detroit. It could be in California. It could be in Miami. It could be in Texas. It could be anywhere in the U.S. What they want is a return. They want to park their money in a place where it's going to give them more of what they're giving in their countries with more security, right? Now you have the other type of buyers that they want, for instance, toys. What I call a toy. A toy is the people, let's say, some wealthy Mexican or Latin American person that wants to buy their home in La Jolla in California, or in LA in Beverly Hills, or in let's say in Brickell in Miami, and they don't really care how much it costs because they just want to own over there because it gives them status to own over there, right? Now you have other investors. What they want is that they're interested in sending their kids to universities. So everything that is close to university, or like a big university, like in LA, like in San Francisco, like in San Diego, right? In New York, in Miami, right? That they want their kids to go to university and study over there, right? Another thing that is really important is hospitals. There's a lot of people that they have a family member that they need extensive care, or like let's say with cancer or something that they need to have a long-term basically care, and they're looking for good hospitals in LA, in Orange County, in San Diego, in Texas, right, in New York, in different areas. So it all depends of the buyer that you're what they are looking, right? But again, I think that the opportunity is huge because regardless of everything that I told you, what they are looking is a place where they can have their money safe, secure, and in most cases, if they are renting that money, the rent that it's in dollars for them is great because it's appreciating with their national currency every day or every month. So it's for them, it's a great opportunity to invest over here.
Excellent. So I'm going to ask a combination question, and we can start off with Robert. What is the most effective way to build your brand and business and to be the go-to realtor for international investors? And how have you built that global sources and sphere? And then how long did it take you to build that brand? So that's for Robert.
Okay, thank you, David. Branding is very important. I have a personal brand, Robert Miller Now, and I really believe that Robert Miller Now is been something that I've been building probably for 20 years. On the Latin American side, I have a kind of a hashtag brand, Financista, which is, you know, financier in Spanish. So on my LinkedIn, I use that as a tag, you know, LinkedIn/in/Financista. And that's really my identity. So I haven't really built an identity in real estate. I've built an identity in finance, even though I'm licensed in real estate and I do some commercial transactions. But getting back to what Matthias said and what Spencer said, it's all about credibility, it's all about relationship, and it's all about trust. And you're exactly right, David. Those are the three things that you have to build into your brand. You have to build in trust, you have to build in relationship, and you have to build in the fact that you're experienced and that you have connections. Because we wanted, you know, let's say that you're going to deal with an attorney. You want an attorney that, let's say that you have a problem with the IRS. You want an attorney that has a relationship with someone at the IRS that they can pick up the phone and make a call. You want an attorney that has experience, and you want an attorney that's basically going to provide you with value. So for me, building my brand is very important. And I read something recently about brands, and this is what it said. If you're going to sell your company, if you're not going to be there forever, build your brand around your company, whatever company it is, EXP, whatever it might be, Century 21, Berkshire Hathaway. If you're going to be in business forever, then build your brand around your name. That's why I have Robert Miller Now. I know that's why Spencer has Who Global Consulting. So especially in Latin America, people in Latin America really don't care. I know designations are great. I know letters after your names are great. I know letters before your names are great. In Latin America, my experience is people don't care about any of that. They care about the person that you are, about the reputation that you have, and about how you're going to deliver on what your promises are. And that's never changed. It's never changed. It's never changed. So David, I think that the best brand you can have is just being yourself, have integrity, obviously talk about your experience. And I write books. You know, Spencer and I have a book coming out. Books are a great way. It's not that big of a deal to self-publish a book on Amazon. But when you publish a book, you have a brand. Instead of a business card, you hand somebody a book that cost you $5. And I think having a book, having a great website, all those are must, because if you don't have them, there's something wrong with you, in my opinion. You know, you haven't really built the brand. It's not like and I deal with realtors all the time. I speak to a lot of groups. It's not just leasing a C-class anymore and baking cookies and doing open houses. And it's not that was for a lot of people, but we're now on the verge. We're at zero dark 30 as we come out of this, where everything's going to change. And what a great opportunity for us to reinvent ourselves. What a great opportunity for us to think about our brand. And at the end of the day, I think a brand is based on one thing. And there's a YouTube video with Simon Sinek, and he's talking about the why. So your brand should really be your why. Why are we all here on a Wednesday morning talking about global real estate? Are we curious? Are we passionate about it? Are we dreaming? Are we going to make it happen? So I think your brand has to be who you are. And the closer that you can be real and transparent on your brand, that's really a valuable brand.
That's excellent. One thing you mentioned was about developing a personal relationship. And I know, Spencer, regarding people in Korea, Japan, and China, it's very important to develop that personal relationship. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. So I probably did not mention earlier, I started real estate 17, 18 years ago, right out of college. And then we were doing the normal stuff. The market dropped, of course, in 2007, 2008. We got very involved with short sales and bank-owned properties, and we did pretty well at that time. And then we basically spotted the new trend, which is global. So I'm sure that's why a lot of people are on this call. A lot of people are involved with the local global committees and councils. When we first started with global, that was about 11, 12 years ago, we basically went over to China. This was kind of jumping off of a big diving board without knowing if there's water in the pool below us. We just went and did it. And how did we figure out there had these things? We ended up by chance seeing there was a program on the Chinese television talking about the International Property Expo events in China. And half a year later, we were in China, basically presenting US real estate. A lot of people did it before us, weren't very successful. We did it, we got a couple deals out of it. I know David was probably at that CAR Global meeting several years back, which was my first introduction to CAR Global. We talked about LPS, which was one of the big shows. And one of our CAR friends, they actually took their company and went there and created, I believe they said within the 4 or so agents that went, they created a lot of extra business. So that is one of the ways to do it. However, you need to know and work into your business plan. Is this something you want to devote the time and money to? Or do you want to find someone that has that experience and contacts to kind of be your liaison or your step into the door to some of these entities and companies and brokerages? With us, we basically was twofold, us trying to basically find the end user and buyers, which we did. And we stopped doing that for the time being since it's not effective anymore. But at the same time, you can, at the same time, go and meet your fellow exhibitors, which are also from the US, also from Europe, also from Australia, from Cyprus was the big country originally when we were starting. Recently, the big country is UAE and Dubai, which has over half of the floor space as far as the booths for most of these shows. So you get to meet a lot of these companies. At the same time, you get to meet a lot of the Chinese companies that are local, that are representing international projects. So whether they're real estate projects, investment projects, immigration, all of these people that basically have access to the end user that you want to be targeting. So in the end, yes, you need to have some relationships. How you get those relationships, whether you're getting them yourself by going to events, locally, internationally, globally, or you're working with people that have access to those entities. Matthias mentioned the CIPS. The CIPS is a huge network of, it bounces, but it's between 4,500 to 5,000 agents globally that basically do want to work with other agents that are in the global field and whatever location you are in right now. That is being offered actually beginning of June for $150 online virtual class. So anyone that wants to take that, I'll send the info to David and David can reshare, but that's being offered out of one of the local associations in Florida. And that is very cheap because normally it's $150 for one class. Sure. All 5 classes is $150. Why not? And that basically gets you into a huge network, like I said, of people that understand and have same goals as you do. If you're working with a large brokerage, Century 21, Remax, which I'm with, Coldwell Banker, Sotheby's, Keller Williams, all of these, most of them do have international locations right now. So if you're wanting to work with specific demographics or country regions, reach out to those local region owners and the region brokerages and talk with them. Say, look, I'm here in the US. I want to have a working relationship with you. Do you guys have clients that are looking to buy here in the US? Open up that conversation. You have other networks as well. Women's Council of Realtors, that's a huge network. CRS, all those networks. You have big networks of people. Of course, you have FIOPSI, which is worldwide. We're going to try to be starting a Southern California chapter. So anyone that is interested in that, reach out to myself. We are working on that. Not sure what the time frame is, but that is a true international real estate organization. It started in France, and you have a lot of these chapters around the world.
So Spencer, have you-
David, can I comment, just tag on to what Spencer said?
yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna embarrass Spencer because he's easily embarrassed. He's gonna turn red here, but Spencer really has become, I think, in the years that I've known him, very synonymous with global, not only here in Southern California, but around the world. And the reason is Spencer's very, very generous with his information. He returns calls, he returns texts, he appears on Zooms where people ask him to. And I think that that's been part of his brand identity, as he's made global a lot easier for people to understand. And rather than people that are xenophobic about global, I think he's brought it down to a level where they realize that it's a very doable thing. And Spencer, I wanted to comment, that's basically how you built your brand. It's being available, it's being accessible, educating yourself, keeping in touch with contacts, and being knowledgeable and sharing that knowledge. Is that pretty much how you've built your global brand?
More recently, yes.
Okay, while we're on the subject, have you consulted or used marketing agencies in that country to better attract and speak to potential buyers? And how would you recommend a realtor to get started in international real estate? And then one other question is, are there specific websites to use for international exposure? And we'll start with Spencer and then go to Matthias.
Okay, so again, with the CIPS, basically every year NAR has NAR Expo. This year it will be in New Orleans if it is live. NAR Global basically attracts a lot of the international realtor members, IRM members, as well as the organizations that NAR basically has this bilateral agreement or working relationship with. So you can meet a lot of these delegations. Last year in San Francisco, the Chinese delegation was over 50 people among, I believe, 3 organizations. So it is a large event, large delegations. Philippines always has a huge delegation. Thailand has a delegation. One of the other events that we can look into is called IREC, International Real Estate Convention, International Real Estate Conference. Last year, this happened in Tokyo, and I was actually there, so that's kind of cool. Previous year was in Vietnam. This year, if it happened, was going to be in Dubai, and they pushed it to next year. Will also be in Dubai, and they basically chose Dubai because Dubai was having a global real estate expo, and if anyone's been to Dubai, anything Dubai does is huge. So that's a good thing. Something that happened end of last year that was very cool was they started a sub event of that called IRC, also International Real Estate Conference in Jamaica, which was their first location. And that was more focused on the Latin American countries. And for both of these events, basically, it's NAR's bilateral partners and people that want to work with NAR cooperating with the host country to come up with basically a summit event, global real estate summit event, as well as having a small kind of an expo event, probably between 30 to 50 booths set up, which are local brokerages, local real estate offices, global brands. For Tokyo, I went to leading real estate companies. They were there with a booth. The local brands as far as RE/MAX, Century 21, they all had their booths. The local builders and developers were there showing off some of their projects, some of their investment opportunities. So these are all good events to kind of meet with people. Locally, of course, most of the states have the global real estate councils or committees. So Matthias, of course, is the head of the one in San Diego. I was the past chair for Orange County. Los Angeles has one. David, of course, is for South Bay, which is hosting this event today. Get involved with your local chapters and associations. At the same time, if you have a local AREA, local NARREP, your international chambers of commerce. So I know the Latino Chamber of Commerce is there, Chinese Chamber of Commerce, Hong Kong Chamber of Commerce, Iranian Chamber of Commerce. Every kind of ethnicity that wants to do business with the US, they do have one of these kind of international chambers of commerce. And these are great ways to make contacts, even though they're usually going to be trade related. So import, export, but those people definitely know other people. So that's a great way to kind of build a contact base for international and global type of friends that might not be directly in real estate. So what happens? Now you're the #1 person for real estate if you get into that circle. So some good ideas.
Yeah.
Okay, Matthias, can you briefly touch on this as well?
Yeah, and you know, I agree 100% with Spencer, and I think that what the agents need to do is need to decide first where they're going to specialize. They cannot be everywhere, right? So like Spencer was saying, maybe for me it makes sense to be in Latin America. For Spencer, it makes sense to be more on the Asian market, right? So I will put all my eggs into Latin America, right, to become like the Spencer said, the #1 person that people will recognize me over there, and then I will look for Spencer if I have any referral in the Asian market, right? So I think that's what is important to do. Now, in terms of different conventions, as you can see for what Spencer said, this doesn't happen from one day to the other one. You have to put time. You need to put money into this, right? You need to go to the different places. You need to go to different expos. You need to meet with developers over there. You need to meet with the agents in different areas, right? One expo that I can say that is important if you want to be more into the Latin countries. For instance, Mexico has AMPI, is the National Association of Realtors of Mexico. They do have these summits that you can go. Colombia is also have different summits. Argentina has different summits. So every country has their summit where you can go. My recommendation is to really do if you're gonna invest the money to go over there, you need to start building your presence over there in advance. So in advance, you need to try to connect with agents over there, ask them if they're going to be into that summit, to try to meet with them into that summit, to create, again, everything is about, I guess that we already told everyone that it's about relationship and trust, right, and education, and to be available to people. So if you can start building a few weeks or months before that event, talking to agents and having an agenda where you're going to have meetings and meetings and meetings and meetings with people already pre-arranged, right? And then you're also willing to go to the mixers and everything where they go. I think that it's important to grow with all that. Like Spencer was saying, the National Association of Realtors, they have the annual conference. That's a great opportunity to go and to meet with all very big, basically group from different countries. Another thing that the Miami Association of Realtors, they do an event every year, like a few days before that National Association of Realtors, where the Miami Association of Realtors is the largest in the US, but they also have a great presence globally. They have relationship with more than, I think, 350 associations around the world. They invite all these associations into a summit that they have in Miami, again, 2 or 3 days before the event of the NAR. You could go over there and start creating relationship with these countries. They have because Miami is centrally located to everywhere, right? The good thing is that you have people from Latin America, you have people from Europe, you have people from Asia, you have people from absolutely everywhere, where it's a good opportunity for you to go and to connect with these agents that are looking to. If someone comes from anywhere outside the U.S. to the U.S. to a meeting, that means that they want to do business, that they are interested in knowing more about different locations. So if you go approach them, give them education, tell them what you have, create a relationship, and then what you need to have is consistency. You cannot try to go. First of all, you cannot think that if you go once, then you're going to be the chief of that area, right? You need to have consistency. You need to send information the whole time. You need to put them into your CRM and start sending like videos. You have to send in education. You can send in a lot of things that you are doing in your area, so that people know. Because the reality, for instance, San Diego, it's a beautiful city, but there's a lot of people, they don't know about San Diego. They never heard about San Diego. If you go internationally, some of the markets that they understand Miami, they understand New York, they understand San Francisco, they understand Chicago, they understand Los Angeles, right? Maybe Texas a little bit, but San Diego is not a place that people know. So what you need to do is to create relationship and start telling them about the virtues of San Diego, right? Orange County or LA or wherever you guys are, right? So there's a lot of different expos to go. I think that people need to choose where they want to focus on, and then try to research, do a pre-work going into that, and then take out the, once you're there, try to make the most of it, right? And then when you come back, follow up with all these people, right? One thing that to do to build the pre-work is, for instance, if we go back to Proxio, you have for instance, in Mexico, there's 11,000 agents that have access to the platform, right? Colombia or France or different areas, right? If you go to CIMA in Spain, then you can look for agents in Spain. If you go to MIPIM in France, then you can look for agents in France, right? And be that pre-work, you can start connecting with them. Say, I'm going to be over there. How about if we meet for half an hour? I want to know what you do, and I want to tell you what we have here in San Diego. And that's how you build all this brand, let's say.
That's excellent. Okay, we're going to shift a little bit to the current situation in the economy. So Robert, I'm going to address this with you initially. How do you think novel COVID-19 has affected marketing in your specific region, both domestically and overseas? And maybe you could talk about the economy and where we're headed.
Okay, great. I have another book that I'm doing that's coming out also along with the one Spencer and I are doing, co-authoring a book called C19 Economics. And I'll give you the take on that. We're all living through this shutdowns. We all know what it's done to the industry here in Southern California. Some people are continuing to try to do business. Everybody's doing business on Zoom. You know, Los Angeles County yesterday has announced that it's 3 more months on lockdown. So who knows? But let me give you the macroeconomic approach, which is what I'm excited about. First of all, let's take a look at what Matias said about inbound people. And he's exactly right. And I'm specifically going to talk about how the economy is affecting Latin America, how the economy and how this whole crisis is going to really benefit. Sadly as it is, it's going to benefit us long-term in the United States. So the reality of it is, in Latin America, they're on lockdown, serious lockdown. So their numbers are probably a lot different than ours. Their leadership is a lot different than ours, good or bad. But the reality of it is that Latin America is going to benefit from whatever is happening in China specifically. And I'm going to paint this picture for you. China's not going away as a world economic power. You know, they're surviving through this. They're going to do well. China is the biggest lender in Latin America. China is the biggest investor in Latin America. And what China does is it goes in and throws out money down there, and if people default, it's fine. They end up owning the assets. But over the next 10 years, we're going to see the biggest growth in Latin American wealth that we've ever noticed in the history of the world. And the reason is China's going to continue to invest and loan in Latin America. And what's going to happen? Exactly what Matias said. Because there is currency risk, because there's political risk, because there's a need for diversification, we're going to see more investors coming from Latin America, and they're going to buy 3 types of properties. Matias already mentioned them, but I'll repeat what they are. They're going to be buying luxury homes because they want to buy luxury homes. And I think you called it the toys or whatever. So we're going to see people at San Juan Capistrano at the $3 million Toll Brothers homes. We're going to see people in other places. We're going to see people in San Diego, La Jolla, all that stuff. A lot of Latin Americans, a second home for them is Florida because it's a hop, skip, and a jump from Latin America. We're going to see a lot of people buying in Panama coming up from South America into Central America, Panama, Costa Rica. So the first type is the luxury homes, secondary residence, primary residence for people that are relocating here. The second thing that we're going to see is we're going to see commercial investments. And I'm going to combine commercial investments with the residential investment property, the income properties. So Latin American investors are going to be flooding into America next year, buying income properties and buying commercial properties. Where are they going to invest? They're not going to be investing in Montana, Georgia, all those places. They're going to invest in places in the United States that have high density of existing Latino communities. So you're going to look at Florida, for example. For us in Southern California, we've got all of Southern California to look at. So you're going to be looking at a lot of investment in commercial real estate and residential income properties in Los Angeles, Orange County, and other parts of Southern California. It's going to be massive. Why? And I'm going to explain this to you. Money in China and Asia is nouveau riche money. And those of you that studied economics or speak French know it's new money. And a lot of that new money is changing right now. A lot of it's being devastated, it's changing. So economic wealth in Asia is in a turmoil right now. It's a whole different game. Latin American wealth, as Matias can tell you, being from Argentina, it's family-based. It's generational for a long time. The wealth is in certain groups. And so what's going to happen is those people in Latin America are looking for a flight to safety. They're looking for diversification, and they're not so much looking as an asset play appreciation. They're looking for an income play. So you're going to see institutional investors from Latin America come here in massive dollars, just like the Japanese came in the 1980s and just like the Chinese came in the 90s. So a lot of money. So if you speak Spanish, if you know the properties, if you know the Latin American communities here, that's where we're going to benefit. It's going to be massive. It's going to be like the most exciting thing that's happened in our economy in the next 10 years. Absolutely fantastic.
Excellent. So Spencer, what's your take on the COVID-19 and how it's impacting the region?
So for us here, of course, we're on lockdown. We have to change the way we do business. Other countries, same thing. And China is kind of in that recovery mode right now. So since mid-February to about early March, about 80 to 90% of their large businesses basically opened up again. So their GDP is probably about 70%, 80% what it was before. So that's a good sign. So if we can use that as an indicator what us here in the US will kind of look like coming out of it, then I think we're in good shape. We don't know what that time frame is, unfortunately. With the real estate market over there, they've also implemented a lot of similar changes to how they do real estate. So a lot of virtual showings, a lot of Matterport or equivalent type of marketing, video marketing. One of the larger brokerages in China, they can actually do the whole transaction pretty much online, minus the wiring of money or the funding of the loans. So I think we'll see a lot of the new tech as far as the real estate marketing and the real estate process kind of come out of this, which is good. On the bad side, all of us agents have a lot of new stuff to learn. A lot of the older agents that are kind of reluctant to technology, hopefully they don't get left behind because that's going to kind of stick around. Zoom is not going away. It's going to be here for a while or until something else better comes along. And same with kind of how we're doing the marketing now with the videos, the virtual marketing, the 3D floor plans, all of that. That's all going to stick around. And I think it makes a kind of new standard. Kind of before this came about, we only saw this kind of marketing with kind of the higher end luxury homes. You don't see Matterport done on a 500,000 or less property. Now you see them doing on any property because that's one of the only ways you can show your property to a prospective buyer before you can actually schedule an actual showing, which a lot of times some of the sellers or listing agents don't want to do physical showings until you have an offer submitted saying subject to interior viewing. So I think a lot of our processes will be changed. Yes, the volume as far as sales are down right now, but I think the overall average prices were either even or a small up. So as long as we don't see anything major happen to the economy, yes, a lot of people are not working, so that's going to have impact on their ability to pay mortgages and might have default numbers rise. But if that doesn't get out of hand, I think we'll come out of this pretty strong. Like Robert's saying, we're looking at very good opportunities coming out of this. What are those opportunities? We need to find them and basically jump on them, of course.
Okay, David, can I chime in a little bit on this?
Absolutely.
I think that with everything that is wrong about COVID, it's also going to bring a lot of opportunity, like Robert and Spencer said. So if we hear what Robert said, right, in terms of Latin America, right, in all these countries in Latin America, the wealth, and also let's say I would say that mid to high middle class and high class, right, they cannot have their money into their local currency, so they need to look at safe haven here in the U.S. Okay, so there's opportunities for us here as realtors to start promoting a lot of what we have right now. So it's really important. Now, probably it's the next question, is to have all the digital materials for us to share with realtors around the world, right? It's also, just to give you an example, one of the first cities that recovered from the 2008-9 collision, let's say, was Miami. And it was basically, it was fueled by investment from Latin America, countries like Argentina, Colombia, Brazil, and Venezuela, right? Where people still, when they saw that in that time all the prices went down, they saw an opportunity to secure their money into the US, right? So from one side, we have all these people in Latin America, in the world, that they see the problem with their currency, that they want to invest here in the US, which is a great opportunity for us now more than ever to expand our business globally. Now, on the other hand, there's also still a lot of money in the US, where there's a lot of investors. A good property, location, 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 it's location, location, location everywhere in the world, right? So now there's a lot of opportunity for Americans to go and look for great opportunities in different countries. Let me tell you a few examples about this, right? If you go to Mexico, now the Maya Riviera, like Playa del Carmen, Tulum, Holbox, Cancun, if you look in Cabo, if you look in Puerto Vallarta, and you look in San Miguel Allende, if you look in Acapulco, if you look in Guadalajara, there's opportunities right now that are incredible because the peso to the dollar went from 18 in December to 25 today, right? So there's great opportunities. There's a lot of opportunities where the people can invest in cash flow properties. For instance, the Maya Riviera, where they guarantee in dollar from an 8 to 13% return every year, right? And you purchase a property in Tulum or Playa del Carmen that are beautiful, right? Or if you look in other countries, for instance, I was talking yesterday with the past president of ACOBIR, that is the National Association of Panama. He was telling me that right now, there are some areas in Panama where it was super difficult to find a home, that now you can buy it for a fraction of what you could buy it like 5 months ago. If you go to Colombia, if you go to again, Mexico, different countries, there's a lot of opportunities. What we need to have is to our eyes open and try to look for opportunity, because there's a lot of investors here in the US that they want to go and take advantage of that position that they have right now and invest in all these countries. So I think that the future for everyone, if we're optimistic and we try to, and we move and we really look for new opportunities, they're huge.
Excellent. In a few minutes, I want to get to audience questions, but I'm going to do a combo question if you guys can each spend like a minute or two on this. And it has to do with more advertising and promoting. Do you use social media advertising with social media channels, and how effective is print advertising globally? Are videos more effective in getting listing exposure? And we'll start with Matthias.
I think that yes, now more than ever, to provide or to have all the digital contents of our properties, it's paramount. There's no way. I think that there's no way that now you cannot have a virtual tour of your home, right? Like Spencer was saying. Now, before it was only for a few brokerage. Now you need to have it. And if you don't have like a Matterport or an iGuide or something like that, you need to go and make sure that you record it and you have it to send it to people, right? You need to have the information of your listings in different languages. You have to, because there will be a huge influx of money from different countries over here. You need to have YouTube videos. The videos are what it sells right now. So if you're asking me, David, if I think that it's better the printed advertising rather than to have a video, I think that video is the way of going. I think that the social media is the way of going. I think that creating groups is the way of going. I think that mobile tools are the way of doing. I think that that what is important for us now is to make things easy for absolutely everyone. So if you want to have more exposure, if you want to connect with other agents, you need to give them absolutely everything easy. So this is a post that you got, this is a video from the property. This is a post that you have already configured for Facebook. This is a post for Instagram. So that's what we need to do over here. That's what is really important right now. Social media channels, of course, I think that Facebook is probably one of the most important right now. YouTube, it's also super important. And the opportunity to connect with people, it's key and paramount, and to make it easy. Just to tell you one thing, going back to Proxio. Now, Proxio merged with a company that is called Tour Factory, and they created a company that is called Collabra. Tour Factory provides agents with absolutely everything that they need in order to showcase their property. You have the syndication, they can prepare YouTube videos, they can prepare mobile virtual tours, they give you a custom property website, they give you reports, they give you flyers, postcards. I mean, and there's a lot of different companies that do this, but that's what I'm trying to say is that you need to have a kit that you can provide other agents with absolutely all the information of your home. Agents regionally, locally, regionally, nationally, and also internationally. So it's very important to have everything in different languages also. I hope that this kind of helps, right, with my question.
Excellent. Spencer, what are your thoughts?
So as far as general marketing, yes, social media is very important. Most of us probably already use Facebook. If we're not using Facebook, get on the train. Those of us that are already using Facebook, think about adding a second platform. So for me, that is Instagram. I've been playing around with Instagram for a couple of years now. We're going to probably start doing some intermixing business related posts. I've been mainly posting personal posts on that. Same thing. You want to get in front of your crowd, whether that's other agents that might be having buyers for your listings or your actual sphere of influence that might be future clients or current clients. As far as what Matthias is saying, yes, definitely. All of these new marketing methods, we need to understand what they are and maximize them, the videos, whether you're doing your own videos, whether you're doing home videos, you're doing personal promotion videos, an actual YouTube channel, which takes a lot of time. I've never wanted to do that. It might have to happen at some point now. And doing those type of things, you need to incorporate into the new business plan. As far as print marketing, I don't think it's an easy way to get to an actual sale, but it can help you get listings. It's more of a listing tool than an actual trying to find a buyer tool. And by that, I mean, when you go on listing presentations and you show them a glossy magazine where you paid for a double spread, hey, look, I'll do this for your home. All the other agents probably are not going to be doing a print ad. So that's going to set you apart from someone, but don't think you're going to get a buyer out of it, of course. It's more a strategic type of thing.
Excellent. Robert?
Okay, for me, probably the oldest person on this whole call, I grew up with technology, fortunately. I got my dad when he was retired at Apple II. I grew up with computers. To me, technology is fantastic. It can either crush you or you can crush it with technology. Technology is leverage. That's what technology is. Right now, not having a presence in social media means something's wrong. You're hiding from something. A couple of years ago, I was at the max for Facebook. One day I blew out, most of the people I didn't even know, I blew out 99%. I kept 50 people out of 5,000 and built it back up. Mostly now it's realtors and lenders, and I have a pretty big presence on there. I do videos. I think that Facebook's very important. For global, for the big kids, it's LinkedIn. And I'm going to share LinkedIn with you. Those of you that aren't on LinkedIn, get on LinkedIn. It's really the key to global leverage. I have the max on LinkedIn, 30,000. 25,000 of those are in Latin America. 10,000 of those people are in Colombia. So LinkedIn has a lot of prestige. There's a lot of things happening with Facebook. Facebook, if you're a local realtor, a lot of you on the call probably Facebook friends with me. The other thing that I do is I send out a weekly newsletter. I send it out on Tuesday mornings, and it goes out and it talks about different things. So do a newsletter, get on LinkedIn. Spencer and I last night were talking about Instagram because I keep hearing more and more realtors are using Instagram. But embrace the technology. Embrace it. You have to really embrace it. Don't be afraid of it. Get an intern, get somebody, millennials, younger people, they grew up with this stuff. But for a lot of us, the rest of us, use Facebook more than just posting recipes and pictures of your dog. It's a tremendous thing. However, Spencer taught me that you still need to put pictures of your dog and recipes on there because otherwise it looks like you're just, advertising all the time. I put a picture up this morning of the food I brought back from Mother's Market, So you got to mix it up. It has to be human interest, but it's all about social media. And like David said earlier, you got to blend social media with your brand. And if you're not doing that, you're not taking advantage. I've never paid for a Facebook ad. I've never paid for advertising at all. I think there's enough out there if you're smart and leverage yourself that you don't have to pay for stuff. And I'm all about digital. I don't even know about print stuff. Advertising, like Spencer and Matthias said, it's not about putting in an ad and getting results. It's just like not going to a mix or a networking event and walking away with a deal. You're expected to have it. You're having a certain presence. So leverage the technology, embrace it, because it's really the way of the future. And this crisis has taught us the value of that. We've gone from people not even knowing what Zoom is to people like Spencer who knew what Zoom is, but Spencer's on a half dozen to a dozen calls like this a week. So embrace the technology. It's here to stay.
Yeah. And I think that's a big opportunity, David, right now. What we have, like what Robert was saying, everyone now has a Zoom account. So why don't try to get a group of realtors and tell them that they are not here in Southern California, right? Oh, this is how we work in Southern California. Look, I'm gonna do a virtual open house of this property. Oh, let me show you what's going on in my market. And then the only thing that you need to do is to download the information from your local MLS, from your local association, start posting, and basically what that gives you is credibility. It gives you authority to all these agents. That's how you build a brand, right? And most of it, Robert was saying that he never paid for a Facebook advertising, right? Most of it, if you start sharing all this information, it's free, right? Because if you really use all your social media. So I think that it's super, super important to everyone. Like Spencer said, if you're not on the train, on the bandwagon yet, you need to get on it as soon as possible, right? Even if it's on Corfu that will do it. We are not as very nice, but you know what? Just do it, and you are in front of everyone, giving information, giving value, and that's how people will connect with you, and that's how you're going to start getting a lot of business.
Well, I think one positive result of the COVID situation is that it's going to make meetings much more global and easy to have, and it's going to make people's time much more efficient, including people attending school, having committee meetings, and also being able to show property virtually.
Correct.
So I wanted to open it up to questions for the sake of time. We have a question from Nora. I'm not going to even try to pronounce her name. I'm with the last name. I'm with clients listing on and off. Are you recording it? Nikki, I believe we are recording this, correct?
Yeah.
And that will be posted on the South Bay Association's global webpage?
It'll be on our YouTube channel, so everybody can look there in the next couple days. We'll get it up as soon as we can.
Excellent. And then she also asked about, can you talk a little bit about listing properties globally? So we covered that pretty thoroughly with Proxio and Realtor.com. Are there any other questions? While you guys are thinking, I have a question for the group. Considering the COVID-19 challenge, what is the biggest takeaway from today's discussion? Spencer, why don't we start with you?
So this is something I've talked about on other calls I've been on. This is a time for us to, like Robert said, reinvent ourselves. So stuff that we have not gotten around to do. So maybe projects that have been in conceptual phase, classes that we wanted to take, certifications, CIPS, like I mentioned, is $150. There's no reason why you can't do that unless you have a time conflict for the 5 days. These are all very good things that you're going to build yourself better. You can rework your business plan. For me, and Robert's part of the project as well, we're building out a new global property platform. Matthias helped introduce one of the key players that is giving us inventory to put on that. And we're building out basically and offering it. One is going to be direct to consumers, and two is we're going to be building out a broker referral program as part of it. So those brokers that don't have the time or energy or budget to actually fly out to places to meet these developers or view the projects in person, we're the interface basically. And while doing this, we can still pay out that referral fee anywhere from 2% up to 6% of the property price. 6% of a property price, that is huge. That's like you selling a $500,000 property here and getting paid a commission on $1 million property. So that's a good opportunity for people. This is something that I've been kind of conceptualizing for several years now. So people that have projects that are kind of on hold, get to working on them. You have time to work on them. Of course, you still want to work on your normal everyday prospecting and transactions and all of your normal stuff, but you have time to work on the other stuff since you're not having to be out and about as much anymore. So I think that's one of the good takeaways.
We have a question from Diana Gibson, or Dana Gibson. Should we have a separate business Facebook page for global real estate?
I'll go ahead and answer that. So that's a question that happens the same with, should you have a separate business page separate from your personal page? And I'm always under the mindset that, no, you don't want to do that. You can have it, but that's not going to be for the purpose of generating business. It's just there because you need to have a landing page. What you're doing, and Robert kind of chimed in, you want to find that balance as far as your personal Facebook of posting business related posts and personal posts. Some people, if your page or your followers are more personal SOI, then you want to post maybe more personal related. If you're like Robert and myself, where it's more professional contacts, you want to post more business related or opportunities related or interest rate related, what's going on in the market related. So that's probably where you want to post most of your stuff, is your personal page, and then have that business page or the global page for yourself on the side so that it's there. Yes, you may get a contact here or there, but that's not your main page to get stuff from.
If I can chime on that, if we're talking about a business Facebook page for global only and your regular business, realtor business page, I wouldn't have two, I would have one. Because first of all, it's easier to do. If you need to take into consideration, if you need to feed in two different pages, it's more difficult. But what you need to take advantage is when you start adding all the global part into your business page, it gives you more leverage with your clients over here and your clients over there. So it gives you more exposure, it gives you more authority. So even when you go and take a listing, and you can open your Facebook business page and show all the listings and all the interactions that you have with agents around the world, it gives you basically a differentiator with all the other agents that want to list that property. So I wouldn't do it, Dana. I will of course put information in different languages. I will leverage that business page to do it as much complete as you can.
Excellent. We have a question from Anina Hammond. Robert, I'm going to ask this to you because you kind of sit in both the areas of growing up here and having a Latino background. How likely is it a client from Latin America would be working with an American agent who is not Latino? And then a question about cultural peculiarities and of doing business there.
David, I read that question 3 times and I'm still thinking about it. The politically correct answer, and I'm going to have Matthias, who's 100% Latino, jump in there. I'm only an 8th Latino, so. But I'm going to tell you my feeling on this first, and then Matthias can answer. To me, Latino is a state of mind. Doesn't matter where you're born or whatever. It means that you enjoy the culture, you understand the language and everything else. Spencer has a great presentation on bow, kiss, hug, whatever it is. I've heard many times. And in the Asian communities, all those things are very important. In the Latino community, it's all about trust. I don't think you need to be Latino. Speaking Spanish is a great thing because when you speak Spanish, it's a bonding kind of thing. And there's a lot of Latinos that don't speak Spanish, and that's a big negative. There's a lot of non-Latinos that speak Spanish, and that's a big plus. So let me look at the question again, because, okay, how likely a client from Latin America would be working with an American agent who is not a Latino? Okay, it's all about Latino, not Latino, doesn't matter. I think it's all about reputation and your ability to build a relationship. That's what's important. It's that's really what it's about. So I think it's very likely you build your niche. The thing that I'm going to jump in, and I was thinking about this, and it ties into this. You got to think about why you want to even do business. Number one, you have to have a strategy. And the third thing that this relates to is have, and Matthias mentioned it, and Spencer, pick the right strategic partners. So if you're not familiar with the properties in the United States that have that you think Latin Americans are going to buy, find a strategic partner, split the deal. If you're looking for properties in Costa Rica, Mexico, Argentina, Colombia, find a strategic partner. The global is all about having the right strategic partners. And I know that Matthias and Spencer will agree with me 100%. That's what these kind of Zooms are all about, is finding the right strategic partners, because none of us can do it all by ourselves. None of us can. So Matthias, can you answer the question from a Latino perspective?
Yes, I think that how likely is very high likely that they were going to work with you. It all depends on what value you're going to bring to the client and to the realtor on that country that you're working with, and how you're going to support them on the whole process, right? If we talk about language, of course, that if you speak, let's say, Spanish is better. But if you don't speak Spanish, there's a lot of realtors and a lot of people in Latin America that speak perfectly English. So it's not a big drawback, right? It's all about, again, relationship, trust, the value that you're going to bring to them, how you're going to help them during the whole transaction, that they're going to feel safe working with you, that they know that you have a team around that is going to help them solve all of their problems. Because it's not only selling a home, but it's okay. You know what? You will need help in terms of immigration. Oh, I have a great lawyer that is going to help you. Oh, you're going to help in terms of lending. Oh, I have a lending. And maybe the lawyer that you are going to introduce them, they speak perfect Spanish. The person that is doing that you're going to introduce about funding and loans, they speak Spanish, right? If they know that if you may not speak perfectly Spanish or you may speak English, but that you have a team around that is going to solve all of their problems, it is a highly probability they're going to work with you. And if you keep in contact, and it's not something that they will see you once in a while, if you are always there, then they will work with you with no problem. Now, there's a saying in Colombia that I like, that it's the face of the saint makes I forgot it now. The face makes well, sorry about that. I just lost it. But the idea is that they need to see you. They need to meet you. If you go, even if you don't speak perfect Spanish or if you don't speak any Spanish, but if they go and they know you, they trust you, that's what they are looking to work with you. So that's kind of my take on it.
So Matthias, it's the face of a saint makes the saint real.
Yeah, that's kind of what it is. Yeah, but it's just, again, it's the value that you're gonna bring them, the team that you have around you, and that you give them the security that their clients are that you're gonna do the best for their clients and for, of course, them, right?
So Spencer, we have a question from Priscilla. Do you have any recommendations for building a team or a platform that helps facilitate the following: an escrow company, title, home insurance, and warranty lender?
Okay, I'm looking at the question now.
David, I think it's home insurance, warranty, and then lender's a standalone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I see that.
As far as that goes, you should already have your team in place as far as your partners you're working for these. There, of course, are RESPA regulations, so you can't legally form a company that encompasses all of them. So it'd be a working relationship partnership only. And depending how you market yourself, that should be directly under, this is our team, this is why they're important, and this is what they do. And we've done similar when we basically market out to our Chinese clients saying, here's what's different here in the US. We have escrow process, we have title insurance, we have all these checks and balances in place. And because of that, we have team members that are experts with the companies in each of these respective fields. And we basically post their picture, we post their short bio, we post their contact info. One is that's gonna make your own personal team look a lot larger. So if it's just you, yourself, and I, or whatever, single person, you right away, you have a team of multiple people. If you do have an existing team of multiple agents already, it'll just make your existing team seem larger and it's more diversified. So you have your actual real estate sales team, and then you have the support team as far as all those services.
Excellent. We also have a question from Claudia. How can I join a global realtor group? I am bi-coastal California and Florida licensed. Family and friends from Peru, Colombia are currently buying. Regarding our association in Torrance, we have the South Bay Association of the Global Committee. All you have to do is show up for 3 meetings and you can become a member. I know there's also ARIA, which Spencer may want to address, and then any other international global groups. But usually your local association will have a global committee that is always looking forward to having new members.
Mm-hmm. So as I mentioned when I first introduced myself, California Association Global Forum, that's open for all members. So if it is having the meetings in a city that's close to you, this year is going to be in Long Beach in October. If it is live, if not, it'll be virtual, and everyone's that is a realtor is welcome to join. The local association, global committees and councils, like David mentioned, that's a good source to join. There are multiple Facebook groups that are global focused right now that you don't need to have a CIPS. There is a CIPS group that you do need to have a CIPS designation, but there are multiple. I'm an organizer, co-organizer for one of them called Realtors Without Borders. So feel free to search that. It's an open membership as long as you are a realtor. There's another one called Global Virtual, which is run by my peers in Florida. And there's a couple others as well. Those are good groups to basically network and meet other global-minded realtors, whether they're here in the US or global locations.
Yeah, there's another one, a big one. If you're looking more like a Latin countries, there's one that it's not in Espanol that you can join. That is big. And again, like Spencer was saying, you can search in LinkedIn, you can search in Facebook, and there's a lot of different groups that you can join and start interacting, and start creating your presence over there, as well as like all the associations, you know, like NAREP, you have ARIA, you have a lot of different associations that you can join, and your local chapter of any association. You can just contact with David, contact Spencer. You can, if you're in Southern California, in San Diego, you can contact me, and we would glad connect you with all our groups.
Excellent. We have an anonymous question. How necessary is it to be with a large name recognized agency compared to a small boutique agency? I'm with a very small company, and probably 1/3 of my transactions are global. We define global as first generation buyers or sellers. I don't think it's that important, but why don't we open this up to Matthias, since he does a lot of work with Proxio and deals with bigger and smaller brokers.
I think that, again, like I always been saying, I think that what is important is what you bring to the table, and what information are you going to give to all the different agents. Of course, that if you that the name means something, because for instance, people recognize RE/MAX around the world, Coldwell Banker, Keller Williams, right? But it's not an impediment for them to start working with you. Sometimes they think that if you are in a small brokerage, but you give all your support and you have everything that they need, they don't need to go to a bigger brokerage, right? So I think it all depends on you, and it all depends on how you move around the different groups, and just try to do your best again to give value to everyone, to give information about what you're doing, and to support absolutely everyone. That's what is key. It doesn't matter if you're in a small one or in a big brokerage.
So Spencer, you're with a bigger company, Remax. What's your take on this?
So from my standpoint, yes, it is important. That's part of my personal brand, is being part of Remax. I've been people trying to recruit me everywhere. So that is a good thing. As far as Remax, basically whenever I travel to another country, I try to make an appointment with the local Remax office. Doesn't mean you have to be a Remax. I've done this with Coldwell Banker. Last year when we went past Paris, I met with the broker owner of Coldwell Banker France and Monaco, who has their corporate office basically right a couple of doors down from the LV on Champs-Élysées. So very central location. Same thing when we went trade missions. If you want to go on trade missions, that's a great way to meet people. I arranged a meeting with Century 21 China, so we met with them. So feel free and don't be afraid to reach out to these larger brands. Just explain who you are. You're a global realtor here in California. You want to see if there's opportunities. If they're open to that idea, they're more than willing to meet with you.
Excellent. I know on our committee, we have a couple members that are with Ingalls and Volkers, and I know they would say it was very important to have that network, and companies like Ingalls have offices all over the world.
Yeah, I agree also with Spencer. And you know what? It is important that you reach out. You know, people want to know about what is happening in the U.S. You know, outside the U.S., they look at the U.S. like a great country. They want to know. They want to have information. So for anyone that is going to reach out to them and it's give them value, they will take it regardless if you are from a small one or a big one, right? Now, what big brokerage have is already connections, right? So if you are part of the C21 franchise or Remax or Coldwell Banker or Keller Williams or other franchises, right? Then you supposedly have connection with agents around the world. That's important that you use it, because if you are part of a bigger brokerage and you never contact anyone outside your town, it's the same thing, right? So I think it's all depend on absolutely everyone.
Excellent. For the sake of time, we have one more question from Dana. It's actually, I'm going to combine them. So briefly, if you guys can mention, what are some of the international referral services? And is there a big interest of international clients to purchase industrial, executive multifamily properties for inbound purchases? Spencer, you want to address that first?
I will address the second portion of that. So yes, there's always a demand for nice multifamily properties. Like we discussed earlier, most of the global inbound purchasers, whether they're individual or institutional, they'd be looking at the financials, basically, the rate of return or the internal rate of return, because it is basically an investment. If they're using it themselves, then they start using emotional factors to purchase. So with that said, if it's competitive with the market or outperforms as far as cap rate or appreciation projections, then yes, that's a very good asset.
I can chime in on that. I think that I agree with Spencer. I think that there's a big interest. The problem is that people in Latin America, they don't know about the opportunities. So if you give all the information and you paint the whole picture and you show them that like all the stats that they're gonna get, I think that there's a lot of opportunity for people to invest over here. In Latin America, it is very common for people to invest in industrial and commercial properties. That's what they understand, and so it's something that they like to invest, because there's not a lot of things that they need to do like a residential real estate, right? So if you give them all the information and bring the opportunity, I think that there's a big interest for international clients to purchase this kind of things. And in terms of what are some of the international referral services, I know that there's some referral services that you can sign up and that they will be providing you leads. I can't remember the name exactly right now. If you, Dana, contact me, I can give you the contact. But I think that the most important is what you do, what you create. It's rather than depending on an international referral service. I think that what you need to do is to try to create relationship with a group that makes sense to you, and start developing that group, right? That means like in Latin America or Asia or Europe or whatever you think that it will work with you, and little by little start creating your footprint over there, and it's going to be a a better relationship in the for the future. I would think.
So I know there's World Properties out there, GRTS, which is Global Relocation Training Services, ICREA, and of course having CIPS. And NAR has a link for referrals as well on the NAR website.
Okay.
Hey, I want to thank everybody. It was very informative. You can message us or go to our Facebook page at the South Bay Association of Realtors and obtain more information. And we'll probably be doing another presentation in 2 months. We'll send out invitations again and let you know who our panelists will be. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Great job, Spencer and Matthias, and also Robert.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much for having
safe.
me. I really appreciate it, David.
Great job.
Thank you, Spencer. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Nikki.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Thanks, Nikki.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Are we done now?